Hey, Tony, can you hear me?
Hi, Adrian.
Hey, man, can you hear me?
Yes, sir, I can.
How you doing?
Good, good. Been quite a ride for a long time here, but I'm doing really good. Weather's cooled off down here in good old Texas.
Oh, nice.
I know it's been hitting the triple digits quite a bit here, but it's cooled, quote unquote, off just about 4 or 5 degrees.
I got a, I've got a, I've got a graphic designer that works for us. He's in Austin. His AC went out.
Mhm. Everybody's is actually going out.
Yeah, he's not happy. Let me do this. Let me just give kind of a premise for those people who are going to watch this interview about why I'm calling you, and then I'd love to just get a little bit of information about your background, whatever you're willing to share, how long you've been working with Rodeo, and then any ideas or thoughts that you're willing to share about how you guys have just totally knocked it out of the park with Google reviews. So is that cool if we go with that kind of format? Okay. So what I did is at the end of 2021, we took the top 100 largest cities in the United States. We went in and we grabbed all of their Google My Business information. So it came to over 28,000 practices. So anybody that's in a city that's smaller, that's like the 101st largest city in the United States, was not included in this. So it's not a totally comprehensive review, but it is the top 100 largest cities. That's a big deal that you guys have done so well with that many dental practices, and kind of comparing you to that many dental practices. So in the report, we look at the practices that got the most reviews, practices that got the most reviews in the last 30 days, the practices with the most Google reviews, the most Google reviews and a 5-star rating. I mean, all sorts of stuff. We did a bunch of research on like which cities were the most competitive. So like which cities were the ones where the dentists and the dental practices were really motivated to get lots of reviews. So it was a pretty intense, like, local dental SEO report, Google reputation management report. Anyway, you guys had 2 practices in the top 10 practices with the most reviews. You had your Laredo location, which was number 6 on the list, and then you had the Fort Worth location, which is number 2. So right behind Child Smiles, Family Smiles up in Newark, New Jersey. And I did an interview with Jessica from there. I think I might have sent that to you. You should watch that. She's super cute and really a sharp marketing manager. Anyway, so anyway, congratulations. You guys are. This is not a small deal. This is a big deal to have over 225. So you had 30. When I did the report, your Fort Worth location had just over 3,000 Google reviews. That's massive. And the Laredo location had about 2,300. So anyway, big thumbs up, good job. And
thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. So why don't you tell me a little bit about your background, how, and kind of maybe whatever you're willing to share about your culture and what you guys have done to try and like increase your reviews and what that means to your company. That would be super cool. Anything you're willing to share.
Sure. Well, I'm Tony Smith. I'm the creative director of Rodeo Dental. I handle all the visuals, the messaging, all the outbound visibility of what Rodeo looks like, feels like, tastes like, and also on the internal side, I work closely with a lot of partners to help deliver on both sides.
Yeah.
I also, at one point, I was also heavily involved in, and I'm still am in some capacity, but I did a lot of the digital marketing, which at the time I was running digital marketing. That's how reputation management ended up in my setup,
right?
Because it was considered as part of a digital marketing arm
Yeah.
of sorts.
Yeah.
And so I've been a creative director here at Rodeo. I've been here a little over 5.5 years.
Okay.
I come from a design background, actually. And then over time, I've always had a bit of a business acumen to me. And so I merged the business, kind of a business strategic approach with design, and you come up with what we call creative solutions.
Yeah.
So now I'm in a position where I provide creative solutions on top of being heavily involved in just the creative and the messaging with Rodeo, but also provide the creative solutions within our company as well for challenging business situations. And oftentimes I use a lot of design to help deliver that and put that into a vehicle, the business solution, and use design to kind of create a nice packaging so it gets deployed in a very effective manner. So
that's a really difficult thing to, well, I'm going to sound dumb saying this, but that's a really complicated task. It requires, like, we have a person here at my social practice, is my business partner, Blake Hadley, who kind of really set the standard for the creative design, the branding, the colors, the messaging, and he's just absolutely brilliant. And it's so hard to find somebody that can do that and do it well, and frankly just understands what it is. So kudos to you. So do you, in terms of design, did you go to school? Did you?
I did. I went to the I went to the Art Institute of Dallas. My whole intention really was to I was wanting to get into video games. And
nice.
So I applied for a particular program that you had to get accepted for into the Art Institute of Dallas, and you had to actually have a strong drawing portfolio. So I submitted it, I got accepted, and I was like, "Yay! I'm going to go and I'm going to make some video games," you know. And the more I got into the program, the less I actually started to enjoy video games. And I'm like, man, I don't know if I want to get into something where I'm not going to enjoy what at the time I was very passionate about that. I was an enthusiast, and I enjoyed the gaming industry in and of itself. And I started finding myself really critiquing it and analyzing the games that I play, and it wasn't turning into enjoyment. It was turning into how they were kind of being built and stuff, which is fine and all. But the good thing about the program that I was in when I went into the Art Institute is that because of the degree of skills you need to learn to be able to go into any sort of video game artistry, any sort of video game. It wasn't video game development as much as it was more video game design. It could be landscaping, it could be environments, user interface, but you needed to know a lot of stuff in terms of design, and you also need to be versatile in terms of, because you're different, you might design for different genres, different demographics. I mean, you've got a whole slew of stuff. So you had to be very, very versatile. And so that translated very well when I decided to go, you know what, I'm actually going to go more into the commercial art side when I'm finished up here. I'm going to go into the commercial art side, and then I'm going to, and because I was also taking business classes too before I even went to design. And that's when I decided to go into more of the commercial art side. And I started off being a graphic designer, then moved to a senior I did the actual leveling up throughout the entire time. Graphic designer, senior graphic designer, art director, then finally creative director, and then I'm still right here.
So how long have you been working with Rodeo then?
A little over 5.5 years.
So in your kind of progression in your career, at what point did you kind of move to Rodeo? Were you already an art director or a creative director at another company?
I was an art.
Came over?
Yes, I was. Well, it's funny. So the company that I worked at before Rodeo, I was actually a marketing director, which because of the versatility allows me to maneuver between both sides.
Sure.
And before that, I worked my way up. I worked at a company where I worked my way up into a creative director role, and then I moved over to the company before Rodeo to a marketing director, and then from there, I saw Rodeo and decided I wanted to participate in in the brand
Yeah.
and building it up.
And building the
Uh,
brand. Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. One thing that really attracted me was one, I could already see where the brand was wanting to go, but it just has not been, it was not developed to the level at which it could, to its potential. And it still hasn't yet. We still got so much more to
Yeah.
ultimately do, but I liked looking at it and seeing it going, yes, I can participate there, 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 and there,
Yeah.
and there. I don't want to go and participate in a company it's already built. And now I'm just coming in doing a bunch of PowerPoints.
Yeah.
No, I
Well,
come in, I roll my sleeves up.
what's interesting is like for a dentist who's watching this video and is listening to kind of your history, one of the things that I don't think many small business owners know. Now, this Rodeo is not necessarily a small business. I mean, well, it depends on how you consider it, but it's not a single practice. You guys have several practices. And, but what I was going to say is that the type of person that you need in order to coalesce a brand message, organize it, structure it, is like what you're describing is super important to understand. It's so much, there's so much more development that goes into the creative or there's so much more need and it's like acumen that goes into the creative aspect of developing a brand. It's literally not just, let's pick out some logo colors and call it, call it good. You know what I mean? It's like the messaging has to be layered. It has to be shifted to all sorts of different mediums. And for someone to be able to describe, as you're hearing you describing like, oh, I saw I could do something there. I could do something there. That's just how do I describe this? That's just evidence of your history and your kind of leveling up in your career and beginning to understand the whole picture kind of view in terms of a marketing campaign. It's that's super important. So any dentist looking to create, if you look at Rodeo's stuff, your stuff looks great. And the messaging makes sense and it's clear and it's clean and it's consistent across practices. You need somebody like Tony. So somebody that understands that, or you just end up running in circles, fixing little tiny problems. You need to have somebody that has a really broad picture of what it means to launch a brand and stay consistent with the messaging.
It also helps. I mean, I've got a really, it's certainly not all me. I'll tell you that. I mean, I've got a really great support structure. The co-founder, CEO, Dr. Sam Zarabi, is very big about this sort of thing. He's passionate, and I mean, he's the one that actually called and picked me out, specifically to come on board and get involved, and because he saw something, and so, but he's very passionate. He's got a tremendous amount of vision. And so I find myself incredibly fortunate to be able to operate within an environment that is conducive to somebody like myself, because basically they bring me in and go and just drop me and go, all right, do your thing. And there's that trust that's there.
There's a level of trust.
There's a lot of respect that comes into play. And now I'm like, I can't let anybody down. I now know to bring my, I've always been like this, but it's like, it felt incredibly refreshing to finally get, hey, you know what you need to do, go and
do it. Yeah. Here are the tools. Here's your marketing budget. Go at it and trust you.
And then
great.
On top of that, the growth, the skill level and growth and the talent growth and the progress was also infused with the COO, Ben Rouse, who's really big about art, very big about storytelling and messaging. And so when you have these two individuals that are, they're able to support you in that fashion, and they're really wanting to contribute and find new ways, and they're in a position to truly and genuinely appreciate what gets built out from what gets developed in here from me. And it kind of generates with their visibility across the company enterprise. Mm-hmm. And then them able to kind of infuse in me some of those challenges that come into play. And we've got a really great partnership, a trifecta of sorts. I'm able to produce things that actually really have a good effect, a positive effect on the company and be in a unique position to be able to generate solutions to very complex challenges that all companies face.
Yeah.
So that's
Great.
Very fortunate.
That's awesome. When you've got somebody that trusts you. You know, I interviewed Oscar from Antoine Dental Center. They were the fourth highest. They had the fourth most Google reviews. And what was interesting with him is he literally had he's now the office manager. Okay. And I believe they only have one location. So they're not a DSO. They don't have a huge organization like you guys, but they're pretty big. I think they've got, I don't know, they see 200 or 300 patients a day. And so they pump patients through their office. It's they get a lot of operatories. They got a big team, but it's one location. Anyway, he had literally no experience. He came off the street and started cleaning the toilets.
Wow, okay.
And then just because the doctor, he says, you know, the doctor saw me, he knew I would work hard. He gave me another job. I excelled at that. And I just worked my way up, and now I'm running the practice. And so the reason I'm mentioning that is because, you know, regardless of an employee's current, you know, skill set or whatnot, one of the most important things to do is to trust your employee and allow them to get, you know, to kind of grow, right? Because if you stranglehold them, you're never going to get anywhere. Everything's stuck at the top end of the picture, and you know. So anyway, that's just another example of a super intuitive owner and COO who are willing to take a risk and trust and so forth. That's great. It's fantastic to hear that. Tell me a little bit about, I mean, so you basically have a fairly broad view of your entire dental marketing efforts, right? All your dental marketing efforts. How does the Google review thing, the initiative, whatever you guys have been doing, how did you kind of insert that, and how does it play with everything else? Or give me some kind of an idea about the value of that and why you spent so much time and energy on it, because you guys have obviously made it a priority. So
yes, it is. But I mean, the end goal is not necessarily to generate a 5-star review. The end goal is what we call is to generate an epic send-off. So when a patient comes in, and all of it is focused on our mission statement. We take that very, very seriously. Our mission statement is to give every family the key to access high-end dental care. It's not lip service. We don't write it on a wall and forget about it. No, we carry it in our culture cards. We have these culture cards we carry that break it down, and on a culture card we have it as a mission statement. Nice. All rodeo team members, all roadies, they carry one of these around. We just redesigned ours actually, and it carries in each of these culture cards. It carries in with it.
Oh, that's brilliant.
How an appointment takes place, with the focus on bring it, boost it, and bell yeah. Bring it, greet with intent, and we go through. We walk through every single team member here, and it applies even here at Central Services. You know, we follow the same type of approach. You know, greeting with intent. You know, boost it, and with providing information, properly and setting expectations for the appointment, and then the bell yeah, which is that, hey, did you receive a 5-star experience today? We're all about providing exceptional service, and if you did, would you mind sharing that with your local community or your friends or anybody that you know of? We'd love to have that shared, because we want to provide the same service that you received to people that you know as well. So. And that's what we follow, but it all comes down to our mission statement and our approach when a patient arrives at the office.
You focus on the experience, this idea of an epic send-off that you mentioned. That's brilliant. But that aligns the intent of all the experience and how you behave in a certain circumstance with a patient. I would imagine that it's probably pretty easy to get reviews if it makes it easy to talk about it too. You know? Yeah,
you don't have that guilt hanging over your head by fishing for any of that stuff, because that's not how we don't operate that way. One of our core values is #do the right thing. And we were, again, mission statement, and then also our core values. Our core values are our kickoffs for us to make sure we're in line with our mission statement, stay there.
Yeah.
And so hashtag do the right thing. We're always looking at doing the right thing, which is now transferred into what the public perception of our brand becomes. Because I mean, we've got a lot of color, we got a lot of swagger, vibe, we got style. You know, we also have doctors. We have all services in all services in one location, so it makes it easier. You don't have to sit there and drive all the way across town to go to, or across state in many instances.
Yeah.
So we have that. We're not just style. We got substance too. But we also need to back that up with being servant-hearted, and that comes from leadership within the company, and that comes down, drizzles down, and on top of that, the type of individuals we bring on board,
right,
to join our campaign and our initiative to move forward with our mission statement. Those all come together and mold into what you see reflected in our reviews.
Yeah.
And right now we have, and Google purges old reviews over time.
Yeah.
So right now we hover anywhere between 50 and 60,000 5-star reviews across the board.
Across all your practices? How many?
We have 35 offices, with 3 of them just opened up. So they don't quite have the reviews yet, but we've got more than several NFL football teams. We've got more than, we were beating Disneyland.
Oh, really? I think Disneyland's getting a bunch of bad reviews right now.
Yeah, I guess I gotta be careful with using them as a metric, right? But with the amount of patients that we also see, we needed to come up with a way to address what we call as patient opportunities.
Okay.
Because I mean, you're not gonna have a perfect day every day. There's going to be situations where things are going to fall through the cracks at some point. And so part of what we do in order to we don't run away from negative reviews ourselves. We go right after them. We address them. We stand there and stay responsive.
How do you handle a negative review?
When we see them come in, we see a negative review come in right there. We bring them in. We have a protocol we follow inside. Here at Central Services, we have somebody to help facilitate every single negative review that comes in. We look to see what we can do to, again, provide deliver on our core value. Hashtag do the right thing is a big one for this particular side of things, or for this type of initiative. Bring it in, and we call them, we talk to them, we see what's going on. We talk with the offices. We partner with both the office and the patient to find out what ultimately was the issue. Could have been wait time. And was wait time what was going on? Did we establish expectations of the wait time? Hey, there's been situations where we've had doctors that have had to deal with patients that needed longer treatment time. It's just not avoidable sometimes.
Yeah.
And so, but what are we doing on our side to make sure our teams are listening? You know, so we provide education. We provide ways of being able to go, hey, how to listen, showing how you're listening.
Yeah.
You know, and making sure expectations are set with the patient. So if you know that the particular patients, they come in and checked in, and all of a sudden they're 15 minutes past when they were supposed to be seen, it's just, there's nothing to, it only takes just a brief moment to go, hey, you know, just want to let you know, Dr. Tulio's running just a little bit behind because he's working on a particular patient that needed a little extra attention. I'm going to give you an update as things roll out. You know, I apologize for any inconvenience on this, but just want to give you a heads up on that. And then as that progresses, but it's just these little checks. That's all people, that's the biggest courtesy you can provide an individual is just, look, this is what's going on. This is what's happening. And delivering that expectations, not running away from it. Most often, situations that are negative reviews can be addressed right there in the office.
Yeah.
It doesn't require any sort of really elaborate protocol or anything like that. We do have a process in place to help facilitate it and make sure we log and we line item any sort of patient opportunities that come into play.
Yeah.
And we always seek a resolution. We always seek to come to a resolution and identify that. Oftentimes, and many times, those things actually get overturned. They either remove the review or they change it to a 5-star because
they'll swap it. Yeah.
And so that's
actually, you know, when I get doctors that ask me, how do I get rid of this negative review. This is ridiculous. It was frivolous, blah, 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 blah. The easiest thing to do is you don't go chase Google down because they're not going to remove it, right?
Yeah.
There's no team at Google that's like worried about businesses getting bad reviews and they're trying to help you out. The best thing to do is go to the patient, solve the problem. If the, there's always going to be patients that are a little,
Well, the other thing too
but
is
they'll change it. They'll just jump right back into the review, edit the review, and it's done.
it will. And we also respond to every single negative review, every single one. We respond to it because negative reviews are also sometimes, this might sound crazy, but also they also provide marketing opportunities because it shows
feedback for your team too, I would imagine.
They do. Oh yeah, absolutely. Because nobody's going to run away from it. We're not going to run away from it. But the other thing too is those that come and visit, let's say they're searching for a dentist near them. They go look you up on Google. They see the reviews. They go, oh, there's this 1 star, but they also see us respond. They see how attentive we are.
Yeah.
They see how
like,
serious
okay.
we take it. And so they're able to tell the story of like, if I risk having a bad experience there, at least I know my problems are going to be heard.
Yeah.
I'm going to be addressed, and there's going to be a resolution that's going to come into play.
Yeah.
Other than if they go to another dental office, they see the 1 star reviews or negative reviews or negative feedback, and they don't see any responses. It's like, who are you going to want to trust?
That's super sharp, man. I'm telling you, like I have presented that in webinars, and when I've been asked to go out and speak about this. It's not the number of stars that you get with a negative review. That's not the issue. The issue is if you respond, because people are looking at that and they're seeing, how does this dental practice respond to a complicated, difficult situation? And if you're not responding, that is the worst thing you could do. Literally the worst.
Yeah.
It's like, so if I'm pissed off, they're going to ignore me. Okay, well, I'm not going there.
Yeah, and it's basically a public log of how you deal with challenging situations.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if we can stand here and say, hey, yeah, we've got 60,000 5-star reviews across the board, we also need to stand next to some of the areas where we can improve, because no company is going to be perfect, and that in and of itself shows the responsible nature of and how serious we take our services that we provide to the local community.
I love it. That's great. How can I just let me change the topic a little bit?
Sure.
Do you have any kind of like gut feeling, or frankly, maybe you have some statistics off the top of your head about like just the fact that you have more reviews at certain locations than any other practice in the area? Are you just getting more phone calls? I mean, people are looking for a dentist. They're finding you guys and they're seeing the number of reviews you got and they're just calling you. Do you know if that's happening?
That's actually hard to kind of gauge if it's strictly based off of just the amount of reviews.
Yeah.
We do find that it's definitely helpful to have that hefty number next to your listing.
Yeah.
And it shows the validity of that particular office. I do notice we've received not necessarily phone calls, but an incredible increase of patient requests through the website. So what they'll do is they'll go and, hey, I'm looking for an appointment for this time for my daughter or son, and they've got this and this and this, and they'll submit it in, and then we bring that request in, and then we approach it as needed, and that has jumped up dramatically. I believe it's just to be able to tell when it starts.
Yeah,
the 5-star reviews is really that's data I can't.
The reason that's fine. The reason I asked that, if inside of the Google My Business account, the listing, it will track how many phone calls you get from the listing. So if I pull my phone out and I search dentist near me, and I've got my Google Maps app open, and I click to call, because there's that little button you can click to call once you find the listing, that's tracked. So you can look inside of your listing and you can go, oh yeah, this has been growing, or it hasn't been growing, or whatever it might be. This dog right here that's barking is
Yeah.
one of the problems with working from home. Hold on. Hold on.
Sure, sure. We'll edit this part out.
Oh my gosh, dogs. All right. Anyway.
So the reason why it's hard for me to kind of really define that as a metric, because
Yeah.
there's a lot of other things we put into our SEO listings and rankings that go beyond just the 5-star reviews, and so there's a lot of other mechanics that are going on that contribute to an increase in phone calls over time.
Yeah, there's no question. It's hard to like isolate it.
Yeah.
One of the things that and you can second this or not, but one of the things that I've heard from a lot of practices, and also even in our own digital marketing, like when we help practices, what we look at is that when you take whatever the marketing campaign might be, it might be billboards, it might be radio ads, it might be handout cards, referral programs, blah, 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 whatever, location, whatever. It seems to be that as you improve your Google My Business profile, okay, all the marketing for everything else seems to improve as well. And it's because we believe if I'm driving down the road and I see your practice just on the corner, I'm like, oh, that's a close practice. Maybe I should go there to get my dentistry done, right? I check you out online before I call. So there's like, it's this filtering kind of process where the social proof, the strength of the social proof of your Google My Business listing is so valued in the mind of the consumer that it literally improves or decreases all your other marketing efforts to some degree, because so many people go and look at your reviews before they call, even with word of mouth referrals, right? Even if a patient of yours refers their friend, they're probably going to go check you out online before they call, because the information is just, it's all there. It's there immediately. I mean, it takes 5 seconds to find it. It's not like there's a lot of effort that goes into getting that.
Yeah, and especially maybe they've already made that decision to, I'm my friend, because word of mouth referral is the most powerful marketing transfer of sorts.
Yeah.
So let's say, my friend said, go here. I went to Rodeo. I'm going to go to Rodeo, Laredo Del Mar, click on it. Okay. Oh, wow. They actually have X amount of reviews. Like, it's a surprise.
Yeah.
So now it's validating.
It's validating the decision. Yeah.
And now it's like, oh, okay. Then what happens is this. They go, okay. So what an individual does is they want social currency, because that's what the referrer did to the referee. They got social currency. They're like, well, I'm just going to go tell Tammy about this listing as well. Tammy, check this place out. And it's colorful. Look at the lobbies.
Yeah.
Look at this messaging. This is the patient experience. So she's able to then transfer over.
Was that your girl voice?
That was yes, that was my
it was good. It was good. I just didn't know. It was just
But that's how it gets transferred, is that social currency. So now this individual feels good about recommending because they feel, hey, I'm smart because I recommended a place that's got validity, this experience. Now, there's also a drawback. Now you've set this expectation. You've got to deliver.
You got to deliver on it. That's right.
And so, because that's where we have this high expectation, and we've got the reviews that show it. But at the same time, even if you're just under that expectation, you risk now all of a sudden having some negative feedback, and that's what we got to get addressed. And that's why there's both sides are being approached. You have the marketing with the brand. Then you also have what we have is dealing with some of the aftermath of some of that delivery. And so it's basically full circle in terms of how the approach needs to be done and needs to be looked at from an architect's vision. Because I'm considered like an architect. That's what I do. I like building things, and I like doing it with individuals and making them successful. So
that's great.
So seeing that as an entire ecosystem of sorts helps with identifying where we need to build out other protocols or other initiatives, or where we need to solve some problems where we're falling short.
I love it. Is there anything you want to say to kind of wrap up? Any ideas or thoughts that you want to add, that, like another dental practice would want to, you know, a tip or trick or anything?
I don't know. I think I've given quite a bit.
You have.
From the heart here. And I'm very transparent. I talk from the heart, you know, and you know, I wish everybody the best. I definitely, I want everybody to be able to provide services and help people. And so whatever I was able to talk about and go over today, I'm hoping
great.
it might help other people.
I think your thoughts and your perspective are going to be very helpful to a lot of practices out there. So I appreciate it. I thank you. Congratulations. Keep up the good work. I'm going to do this again at the end of this year. I'm sure you guys will be in the top 10 again. So hang in there. Okay. And thank you, Tony, very much. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right. You take care. Thanks.
All
See
right.
you.
Bye-bye.